Welcome to the Aviation channel. I'm sure all of you here are probably aware that I haven't uploaded in 6 months. It's probably because of lockdown, lethargy, just all this procrastination, and then just not much to do during lockdown. And then, of course, recently in London, Tier 4 restrictions. And then, of course, the biggest of them all, Year 13 A-levels. I procrastinated during lockdown on my A-levels. And so here I am, just trying to catch up with my A-level stuff. And that's why I haven't uploaded any videos. And whenever I thought to myself I need to create more videos, I ended up thinking to myself, yeah, I need to catch up on my A-level revision. So I do apologize for that. But anyways, as you can see in the title, we're going to talk about pretty much summarizing 2020. It's been a crazy year for all of us, and including aviation and the pilots in not just the UK but around the world. But specifically, we're going to look at the UK before we end 2020 and embark onto 2021. So anyways, we're going to talk about airlines, we're going to talk about the 737 MAX very briefly, and then we're going to talk about myself. So anyways, talking about airlines, so we're going to talk about what British Airways, EasyJet, Ryanair, Loganair, and then of course I'm sure most of us here who are perhaps maybe in some ways av geeks know about Flybe and what happened to it, and maybe the subsequent story afterwards. So anyways, let's talk about British Airways. First of all, they've had an original workforce of about 4,300 pilots, which seemed like a good amount until lockdown happened. I remember in early March, British Airways pilots, they've told me during work experience that because of the pandemic, they were put on a sort of 50% timetable, generally because a lot of their flights were cancelled. But then all of a sudden, Boris Johnson brought out sort of lockdown. Flights within and outside of Europe were pretty much, just annihilated. And essentially, not that many pilots were needed within British Airways. And so British Airways, they were planning to kick out and make redundant approximately 30% of the pilot workforce, which is about 1,255 pilots. Essentially, there was a sort of huge protest with British Airways staff members, pilots, etc., etc. And ultimately, and also because of the job retention scheme, I believe, and the furlough scheme and all of that, British Airways was able to drop that down to about 270 pilots. So it went from about 30% of the workforce to about 6% of the workforce, which is still not very good. Ideally, it should have been 0%, but we're in a very tough time. With all the other pilots, it went to pretty much 20% pay cut for at least the next 2 years, of which after that it would go to about an 8% pay cut instead of a 20%. And that 8% pay cut would sort of disappear in the long term. British Airways, I don't think they've defined what they mean by long term, but perhaps when the airline industry recovers, when British Airways recovers, when IAG recovers, that's when British Airways are going to take off the 8% pay cut of the pilots. And with regards to the future pilot program, don't even think about the future pilot program. That's probably not going to be existent for at least another 5 years. You're going to have to pay for your own flight training, and even then, I don't think British Airways are really looking for sort of rookie pilots like us for at least another 3-4 years until 2023, 24. But I'd say, just optimistically, we're going to say 2025. That's when pilot demand is going to start to recover, which is going to be quite well, but hopefully it could be sooner than that. Who knows? The airline industry has suffered a lot. And also with regards to work experience with British Airways, I've tried to contact the work experience staff members. My friends have tried to contact the BA work experience staff members. I've spoken to BA students by ambassadors, and they aren't entirely sure with what happened to the work experience department within BA. So essentially, I'm guessing, and this is my assumption, and don't take this, like as confirmed answer, but my assumption is that these BA staff members have either been made redundant because they weren't needed within British Airways. They wanted to cut down costs, so they were the first people to go out of the company, or they've been relocated to a different department within the company. So probably no work experience for another few years, I'm guessing, within British Airways. But with EasyJet, okay, let's move on to EasyJet now. Despite them having a 1.2 billion euro loss, EasyJet were initially planning to make redundant 727 pilots within the company, but instead, because of unions and because EasyJet were at least compassionate enough, shall I say, despite these very tough times that we're currently in, they've been able to bring that down to zero compulsory redundancies, of which 60 took voluntary redundancy, and all the other pilots who agreed to do so went towards part-time work within EasyJet. So essentially, there were no compulsory redundancies required within the company. So that's great. So all 1,500 pilots were more or less saved. 60 just wanted to leave. I don't know. But anyways, with regards to Ryanair, they've tried to pretty much kick out 330 pilots, but that went down to about 70 pilots being made redundant, I believe. Don't know what happened after that, but essentially that's what happened with because of unions and because the pilots agreed with a 20% pay cut to save as many jobs as possible of their colleagues. So there's that. But with regards to the winter, they've had to take unpaid leave, and they'll get out of their 20% pay cut within 4 years. That's what Ryanair said. With regards to the 737 MAX within Ryanair, Ryanair has ordered 75 additional 737 MAXs, and I would say that's not completely surprising. If you think about it, post 9/11, Ryanair did order something like over 150 737-800s at bulk, huge discount, at a time when the airline industry was doing really badly, and so essentially Ryanair is just doing the same thing again. They're taking advantage of the fact that nobody's buying these planes, especially considering that the 737 MAX has had a tarnished reputation. And so Ryanair bought a much more sort of bigger discount, and essentially that's them ordering 75, I believe, confirmed. With regards to Loganair, I don't know too much about it, but essentially 265 pilot jobs were or probably are still at risk of being lost, which is approximately 31% of the workforce, which is massive, of which the original workforce is about 850. Okay. But for the jobs to be lost or not is dependent on the job retention scheme, and so it'll probably be by around spring 2021 in which Loganair will be able to probably decide whether the jobs are going to be lost or whether they're not going to be lost or whether they're going to be partially lost. So there's that. And also Flybe. I'm sure most of us here are probably aware of Flybe experiencing, well, God knows what, administration on the 5th of March 2020. That was extremely sad, like for them to be operating for a number of decades since the 80s and then to go into administration. Because first of all, I remember in 2019 they were facing some big financial issues, that they were trying to get bought by another company. Like I believe they were trying to get bought by Virgin, but I believe that went unsuccessful. And essentially by the 5th of March, and because of COVID, the pandemic and all that, it's essentially just that was the last string for Flybe, and Flybe just went down. But there's recent news within the past 1 or 2 months of another company. It's called Flybe Opco, which purchased the website, the sort of brand, the uniform, but to be honest with you, Flybe didn't own any planes. They leased their planes, but in this case, Flybe Opco haven't really bought that much in terms of assets, except for just the brand, which is iconic. But if Flybe Opco can make Flybe successful again and restart the company, then it would mean that people can travel, like freely, a lot more easily within the UK from relatively isolated areas. And then also it'll give us a way of having a plane compete in the trains, I'm hoping that Flybe will come back. Regarding the 737 MAX, they've had their first flight since something like March 10th or something like that, or March 13th, and that was on the 18th of November this year that they've sort of restarted their I believe their first flight or something like that. But that was the first flight since it was banned last year. And first of all, that 737 MAX crash should have never happened in the first place. But what can we do? It's hopefully the plane will be the safest that it's ever been before. And also the COO, CEO, whatever his name is, I'll put in the, whatever you call it, caption or whatever. Like, he's been fired, but unfortunately he's been on, he's been given millions of pounds, because of his terms and conditions or something like that, or his contract, saying that if he gets kicked off, then, he gets, big sum of money or something like that. I mean, that's just honestly like this greedy idiot. Anyways, with regards to the UK aviation, you might have seen recently on the news the free trade deal, which is very good for businesses trying to bring in imports and exports in and out of the UK, which is great because now we've got cargo companies that are able to freely travel in and out of the UK. And also, with regards to passengers, you won't really need to get a visa as long as you return back to your home country within, I believe, 90 days, which is very good because it means more passengers, and more passengers mean that airlines will do a lot more better and they have more money to spend on customer service and more pilot jobs and just honestly, recovering from this whole sort of redundancy thing. So essentially, I mean, hopefully this free trade deal will counteract all these issues that we faced from essentially, Brexit and coronavirus. But anyways, but that's all I've got to say regarding me. Well, I haven't uploaded in 6 months. I honestly don't know. I have no excuse. But for those of you who have commented saying, any updates, this is the update. So anyways, that was not the update, and I do apologize if I've just come out, like that. No, sort of straight to the point, very abruptive, not caring about the 670 of you who subscribe to my channel wanting updates. But anyways, I'll be uploading a video hopefully within 1 month. I would say hopefully that's my target, within 1 month, to upload another video of what my plans are to becoming a commercial pilot. But it hasn't really changed because I had plans of by around 2021 a recession would probably occur. I might not even be able to get into some kind of flight training organization that will pay for the cost of flight training, so I'm going to have to somehow self-fund it, and so I'll become a secondary school teacher for a few years after uni. So that was my plan, and it hasn't really changed except for the fact that this coronavirus pandemic just came in like the flash, just super quick. It came in abruptly, and that's what I was not expecting. So there's that, and also I've been learning how to use a new video editing program. It's called Shotcut. It's free, it's open source, and unlike Windows Movie Maker, which is straight from, 13 years ago, this one, it has more features, and essentially, it should hopefully mean better video quality. Also, that one time in which I dropped my phone on the ground and the front facing camera, I honestly don't know what's happened to it. There's a few reflections that you might be able to see, and that's kind of why I've stopped uploading for quite some time, because I was thinking, honestly, my videos are probably going to look, shite with this, sort of worsened front camera. But after over 6 months, I thought I need to update you guys. But anyways, let's get back to it. Hopefully, we'll get the vaccines out safely and swiftly as soon as possible. I believe the updates are by spring to 2021, we'll have at least 20 million people vaccinated, and we'll get out Tier 4 restrictions, meaning that people will be able to travel more freely within the city and etc. But anyways, and we'll have more tourism, hopefully, I don't know. Anyways, I'll catch you up later. Please, subscribe and hit the bell icon, and also if you want to dispute any of the information that I provided, I've so inserted links in the description below this video, and if you still want to dispute what I've said, then please let me know in the comment section below this video. Anyways, I'll catch you up later. Take care.